Unreal's newest update, Unreal Engine 5.8, just released and it is a game changer. The reason why is a next generation landscape system called Mesh Terrain and a powerful new lighting feature called Lumen Probe Occlusion. The current landscape system in Unreal has largely remained the same since UE3. While it is functional, giving us a large object we can sculpt on, it was not customizable. We are limited to how much detail we can sculpt, and we can only sculpt up and down. There is no way to dig a cave into the ground or sculpt natural cliff overhangs, the kind of formations you would expect to see in nature. This is why, for most Unreal environments and games, the landscape acts more like the foundation of a level, with the actual detail of the landscape being handled almost entirely by static meshes. We didn't use a landscape system to make a cave or sculpt complex geometry. All of this was faked with objects separate from the landscape mesh. Using techniques like virtual texture blending made these objects feel like they were connected to the landscape, when in reality the landscape couldn't handle all that detail. In Unreal 5.8 this changes with the new mesh terrain system that allows us to sculpt as much detail as we want on a large continuous landscape, giving us more creative control than ever before. Now we can sculpt terrain in true 3D to create cave systems and natural ground formations. If you have sculpted in a program like Blender or ZBrush, then you will be familiar with the new tools, except instead of sculpting a single object, we are sculpting an entire world. This is possible through a smart layer system, which lets you save your sculpt formations. So if you create something you like, you can copy it and move it to another part of your landscape, just like if it was a normal object. Or if you don't like a change, then you can delete that layer non-destructively. Unlike the previous landscape system, where we were limited to having the same amount of polygon density everywhere, for mesh terrains you can specify the amount of polygons for each area. So one part of your map that is flat with less detail can have a small amount of polygons, while another area of your map where you sculpted complex formations can have a dense polygon count. And because of Nanite, you don't have to worry about level of detail. The landscape will automatically use less polygons the further it is away from the camera. This is important because it means if you're designing an environment, you have more options to do the work in Unreal instead of another program. We can also convert any object into a mesh terrain. Because of previous limitations, a lot of custom terrain was created in other 3D programs first and then imported into Unreal as a mesh. Now you can create the terrain in Engine, or another workflow is that you start the process of creating a landscape mesh in another program, and then in Unreal, convert that object into a mesh terrain, so we can further sculpt and paint the object. This is especially useful if you're creating an environment for a game and you need to make a quick adjustment to the landscape mesh for gameplay reasons. Instead of switching to Blender or Maya, we could just make that change immediately in the level. There are already a ton of useful tools in mesh terrain, like texture modifiers. So if you do have a traditional height map, simply place it in the world and move it around. For realistic landscapes, you can also connect any static mesh to it with a Boolean modifier. Here's a land formation I made in Blender, and using a Boolean, I can connect it to the landscape seamlessly. If you think mesh terrain is missing a feature, you can create custom tools for it using PCG and blueprints. Mesh terrain is the future of how we create landscapes in Unreal. The possibilities are endless. If you want to know how to create next generation landscapes and get a master material I made specifically for it, then you could check out the mesh terrain tutorial I uploaded to the channel last week, which covers everything you need to know to get started. The next major feature is a new lighting system for Lumen, which focuses on optimization. It uses irradiance fields with probe occlusion, which sounds complicated, but it is simple once you get it. This system is called Lumen Light, but I like to call it Lumen Probes. In case you don't know, Lumen is Unreal's lighting system. It calculates lighting in real time, which means that if the world changes or if the light moves, then the lighting will update during gameplay. This is an expensive process on hardware, because each frame has to calculate global illumination, which is bounce lighting. Light doesn't just hit an object and stop. Instead, it bounces off that object and illuminates other parts of the world. This is called ray tracing, because it traces the light rays. Before Lumen in Unreal Engine 4, we used to get global illumination through a process called light baking. This calculates all the light rays in the world once, and bakes that lighting into a texture called a light map. This contains all the bounce lighting and shadows, which is then overlaid on top of the world. This fakes global illumination because it looks like there's realistic light in the world, when in reality it is just a texture called a light map. Baked lighting lets us only have to calculate ray trace lighting once, instead of every frame, which is what modern ray tracing is doing. But just baking the light map texture only worked for static objects. As we know, games contain a lot of moving elements that don't have access to the baked light map texture. To get around this, in addition to baking the texture, in UE4 we would also bake a volumetric light map, which are points in space that contain bounce light information. So this is the light that would illuminate an object if it's at that point. These points would then project the saved light information onto movable objects when they get near it. We visualize the light that is captured by these points with probes. In UE4, after baking this environment, it created 2 probes at this location. And as I move this object near each probe, you can see the captured light from each probe being projected onto the movable object. The downside is that if our environment changes, the light probes will not update. They are static. So we need to rebake the light map texture and volumetric light map to get the updated light probes. Back to Unreal Engine 5, while Lumen was able to speed up the global illumination process through unique optimization techniques, it is still an expensive task for hardware. Old computers or mobile devices like the Switch 2 are largely unable to run Lumen at a smooth frame rate. Now, UE 5.8 introduces Lumen Probe Occlusion, which is the same concept as volumetric light maps from UE4. But instead of the light probes being static and only created once, they are now being created and updating in real time in our environment. If an object or light moves, the light probes will change and update automatically. This is 2 times more performant than Lumen high quality, largely because we are saving the light information in 3D space and only calculating it when needed, not every frame. This was specifically made so that lower end hardware like the Switch 2 can still get Lumen global illumination, but there are trade-offs with everything. Of course, Lumen set to high quality and hardware ray tracing still looks better and is more realistic than Lumen probes. Lumen is now not just one global illumination technique, but a collection of several different lighting systems, ranging from the best looking but most expensive, which is high quality hardware ray tracing, down to more performant but less accurate software ray tracing, to the lowest setting, but most performant and still good looking Lumen probes. Lumen probes are automatically turned on when in the settings you set global illumination to medium. It is essential to get UE5 running with a good frame rate on the Switch 2 because Nintendo is using Unreal Engine more for their games. Mario and Luigi Brothers Ship, Pikmin 4, and Yoshi's Crafted World are all made on Unreal, but they are using UE4 because there is no reason to use UE5 if they aren't going to leverage new features like Lumen. Lumen probes will help more UE5 features come to Switch 2 and mobile phones. The Metahuman Creator has gotten its biggest update since it released, with the ability to turn any object that looks like a human into a complete metahuman. This means we can sculpt a character in Blender or ZBrush, bring it into Unreal, and automatically convert it into a high quality character, ready for animation and gameplay. The mesh can have any topology. Metahuman Creator will convert it into animatable geometry. This is insane because if you have ever created a character from scratch, you know how time consuming it can be. And any animations or gameplay locomotion you made for other metahumans can apply to this. There's also a new way to animate with direct mesh controls. This is a unique form of animation that lets you select and modify the mesh directly, which can be faster to animate in some situations. So instead of selecting a pre-made control, you're animating directly on the mesh, and a quality of life change is that there is an alternative view of the timeline, which is smaller. It feels more like Blender's timeline. It gives a lot more screen real estate while still being functional. There's a new fog system called Fog Screen Space Scattering. This makes fog feel more physically integrated with the environment by softening and blending objects at a distance. This creates a blurrier, more cinematic look. To enable it, select the exponential height fog, turn on volumetric fog, it's meant to be used with it, and enable it in experimental. Here's the before, the world is too clear, and after. Notice how the fog is obscuring objects at a distance, which is what we would expect to see from dense fog. Mega Lights is now production ready and is enabled by default. We can worry less about how many lights are in the world and paint our environment with little lights everywhere. Subsurface scattering and translucent materials like water now work with Mega Lights. There's a new substrate material system for toon shading, specifically for stylized non-realistic characters. We can control the exact color gradient for how light interacts with materials. This is great for anime characters. Blender has had toon shading for a while, and the amount of amazing anime films created with it is insane. While Unreal has had stylized cartoon games and animations created for it, like Marvel Rivals, it required advanced shader engineering. Now it is built into the engine, so we can expect more stylized creations coming from Unreal. We now have the ability to edit procedural content after they are generated, giving us full control. PCG is a lifesaver when creating large environments because it lets us set rules for randomly generating worlds. I use it all the time in my workflows, but there was one big issue, and that is we had very little control over the placement of individual objects or the changes it makes. Now in 5.8, if you don't like the position of an object in a PCG, then you can simply go to edit and move it. You can also manually add new objects or delete them. This is an essential feature for gameplay. For example, maybe you create a forest, but then there are some trees that are in the way of a gameplay element like a house. Instead of having to regenerate the PCG, hoping you get a better spawn or add more nodes to it, we can just go in and edit it directly. This is a small but time-saving change and makes PCG more practical. Speaking of time saving, we now have a new gizmo that feels better than the original. It's cleaner and doesn't take up as much space. We also get new movement options inspired by Blender. Holding control and the mouse buttons, you can move an object without touching the gizmo. Using Alt and the arrow keys will nudge the object around in increments, and holding control will give smaller, more precise changes. These shortcuts also work for rotation and scale. In partnership with Valve, Epic has added initial support for the Steam Frame, which is Steam's next VR platform and system. It's great to see VR supported by Epic and Unreal having the first implementation for Valve's new headset. Expect to see more VR games for Unreal being developed. This is just some of the new features. You can check out the roadmap to see everything added. Make sure to subscribe for more 3D news and tutorials in the future. And if you want to learn Unreal, I have 2 free courses right here on YouTube that will teach you the basics of Unreal. In the first beginner course, you will learn how to create this castle environment you see right now. And in the second tutorial, you will program your very first video game. You can check out both of them, links in the description below.